I've never told this story publicly before. Not because I'm afraid of legal trouble, that part is over, but because every time I try to write it down, I realize how close I came to becoming the villain instead of the witness. This started when I was 23 and working the night shift at a municipal records building. The kind of place nobody thinks about unless they need a birth certificate or a property deed from 1987. Concrete walls, flickering fluorescent lights, and an archive room in the basement that smelled like dust, metal shelves, and forgotten lives. It was the safest job I could find, or so I thought. The first body was found 2 blocks from my apartment. A man in his late 40s, no wallet, no phone, no visible wounds. The news said suspicious circumstances, which everyone in my city knows means we don't want to panic people yet. But I noticed something that never made it into the articles: the victim's name, because I had archived his records 2 weeks earlier. Why that mattered? Part of my job was digitizing old files, death certificates, sealed court cases, police reports from the 90s and early 2000s that had never been scanned. Most nights I worked alone. I didn't have clearance to read everything, technically. But when you're re-staring at a page for 10 minutes while the scanner struggles to process faded ink, you read things. You can't not read them. The man who died. He had been questioned in a missing persons case in 1999. A teenage girl, case never solved. I remembered because the report had handwritten notes in red ink, which was unusual. The detective at the time had circled the man's name 3 times. 2 weeks after I scanned that file, he was dead. The second body was found 3 days later. Different neighborhood, different age. Same thing missing. Wallet, phone, no obvious trauma, different name, same type of file. Another man connected to a cold case involving a missing child. That's when I stopped sleeping. The pattern. No one else saw. The police didn't connect the deaths publicly. Different precincts, different causes, listed as undetermined. But I had something they didn't. I knew exactly which files had been scanned recently. And every single dead man had one thing in common. Their records had passed through my hands. The archive room. I started going back through the scan logs, timestamps, file IDs, user credentials. Mine. Always mine. That should have made me feel important. Instead, it made me feel hunted. Because I knew something else too. Something no one but archive staff ever think about. Every scan leaves a digital fingerprint. Someone could see what I touched. Someone was watching. The email. The email arrived at 2:17 a.m. No sender name, no subject line. Just one sentence. Thank you for bringing them back into the light. Attached was a PDF, a police report from 1999. A report that had never been digitized before I scanned it. A report that described, in graphic detail, what was suspected to have happened to a missing 12-year-old boy. At the bottom of the PDF was a line I had never seen before. Typed, not handwritten. Justice doesn't expire. I didn't go to the police. I know that's what you're thinking. I should have gone straight to the police. But here's the problem. The police already had a suspect, and on paper, that suspect was me. Why I was the perfect fall guy, I had accessed every relevant file. I lived near the first crime scene. I worked nights, no solid alibi. And most importantly, I had something they could never explain away, a search history, because after the second body I had Googled every victim's name, every cold case, every missing child. I wasn't planning anything, I was panicking. But panic looks a lot like guilt when someone else controls the narrative. The third body was different. The third victim wasn't found right away. They disappeared. And 2 days later I received another email. This time there was no attachment, just coordinates. And a message that finally made me understand the truth. You don't just archive the past, you decide who gets remembered. That's when I realized something terrifying. The killer didn't want me caught, they wanted me involved.